Mindful Life Practice community.
Hello yogis, welcome to your 30-minute yin practice, which is themed around the yama ASTEYA. And ASTEYA means non-stealing. We're gonna start our practice in a child's pose. So you can come onto your mat and rest your forehead, close the eyes. Just breathe your body. Arrive in this moment and observe what's physically going on for you. So the third yama is ASTEYA. And it asks us to consider the ways maybe small and large that we might take things that are not ours. So at face value, ASTEYA means, literally stealing objects or money, but I think it can have a much deeper interpretation. Right? Maybe taking people's time, maybe taking their energy, maybe even screenshotting a quote or a poem without crediting the original author. All of that are small ways in which we might take what's not ours. So maybe in this posture, you can reflect a little bit on what does it mean for me to practice ASTEYA? Take a few more breaths and moments in your child's pose. And then we're gonna peel our way up into a tabletop. And from our tabletop, we'll come into our first yin pose, which is gonna be melting heart pose. So you're gonna walk your hands forward and then bring your chin or your forehead onto the yoga mat. And so in this pose, this differs from child's pose in that your hips are up towards the sky, so it creates a slope in your spine like a back bend.
I think one of the most common reasons that we might take things that are not ours comes from a feeling of lack. A feeling that we are not enough, or a feeling that we don't have enough. So as we rest into this back bend with our heart sloping down towards the mat, I invite you to cultivate a sense of abundance by thinking about, what am I grateful for? What abundance do I have in my life? It's been scientifically proven that if we have some kind of gratitude practice, it helps us identify and feel happier in our everyday life. If we identify all of the good things that we have going. Let's take about 5 more breaths in our back bend. And then can you just start to walk your hands all the way back. Nice, coming all the way up, and then just take this little moment to sit on your heels and rest your palms. And then just breathe your body as it realigns. The next shape that we're going to come into is a spinal twist. So you're gonna come all the way forward and then just lay onto your spine, having your right leg extended, and pull your left leg extended and your right knee coming in towards the chest. And then you're gonna slide the right knee into the left palm and draw the right knee over towards the left, and then open your right arm, gaze over the right shoulder. And if this immediately feels like it's a bit too much for your spine, you can also stack your knees or take any other spinal twist variation. One of my favorite stories that articulates ASTEYA was written by one of my yoga teachers, Rolf Gates. And he tells a story of when he was hosting a yoga retreat in an isolated retreat center in the Caribbean. And he borrowed a pair of scissors to cut down posters off the wall at the end of the training. And it occurred to him, you know, these scissors would be helpful in a few weeks' time when I come back to this retreat center, so I'm just going to tuck them into my suitcase until then. And then when he got to the front desk, the woman asked for the scissors because, as he wrote, you know, scissors don't grow on trees down in Mexico or wherever he was. And he had to very humbly remove the scissors from his bag and give them back to the woman. We're going to open up our left arm and then just bring the knee all the way back through center, and then extend both legs and give yourself a moment in total stillness. Before going the opposite way, so your left knee comes in, and then you're gonna pull your left knee over to the right, and then open your left arm and come into a twist on this side. So I love that story, and it's one of my favorite stories because I think sometimes we think our yoga teachers like really know what they're doing or have it all together. And I love this story because, you know, Rolf is well into his yoga teaching career, and he realizes that he was stealing without even thinking about it. And it was a moment to pause for reflection for him and then change his behavior. And I think that's what the Yoga Sutras is all about. It's not about being perfect. It's not about being this amazing human being. It's about being able to live and learn and pause at every moment and adjust. And then reflect and then keep moving forward. Stay in this twist for maybe about 5 more breaths. And we're gonna unwind your knee and then just extend your left leg for a moment, giving yourself a moment to pause in neutral.
And then gently when you're ready, bringing your knees in, we're gonna rock up to seated. And then just take one little seated shape. So coming to crisscross, if you wanna sit up on a bolster, that's my preference. And then we're gonna drop our right earlobe down towards our right shoulder. And then you might lift your right arm up and land your right palm on the side of the head. And so this is gonna stretch through the left traps muscle, and then if you want to lift your arm and maybe flick the wrist or kind of play with it until you find the exact angle that creates that sweet spot for your neck, go for it. And then just find and feel your breath. So I invite you while we're sitting here to maybe make a list of all of the abundance that you have in your life right now. All of the beautiful things that fill you up. Just take a few more breaths. And then lift your head all the way up through center, and then just feel the difference between the left side and the right side. I know for myself, the difference is ginormous because I tend to carry my stress in this part of the body, and so I really feel it when I've practiced this stretch. And then we'll go the other way, dropping the left earlobe, lifting the left arm up, landing it on the side of the head. So mantras for this yama might be, I have enough. I am enough. I do enough. Stay here for a few more breaths. And then we're gonna lift our head all the way up. And then maybe you do a few little circles of the chin. Just releasing whatever happens to be there. And then can you start to make your way into a final resting pose? Whether that is your shavasana, fully outstretched on your back body. Maybe you choose to bring your soles of feet together and let your knees knock open. And then maybe you just come up into a seated shape. I often say, you can do whatever for this final pose. Ideally, what that means is not a headstand or a handstand, but any pose that is going to act like a container for you to process this moment. So I'll give you an example. In one summer of my life when I felt really, really busy and overwhelmed, I always chose child's pose in this moment of a yoga class because my forehead being connected and close to the earth felt very calming for me. So I think there's no prescription in yoga and there's no rules around what's right or wrong. So I really want you to lean into your intuition and go with that. As long as it's not a headstand or a handstand. And let this pose be your container to hold you in this moment right now. With the awareness that I'll bring you back in a moment when the practice is over. Please prepare me to be a sanctuary, pure and holy, tried and true, where thanksgiving I'll be a living sanctuary for you. Please prepare me to be a sanctuary, pure and holy, tried and true, with thanksgiving I'll be a living sanctuary for you. Give your fingers and your toes a little wiggle wobble, taking a nice long stretch. Eventually coming all the way up into your seated shape. No hurries or worries. And then once you come up to seated, bring your palms to heart center.
keep your thumbs and your pinky fingers connected and open your fingertips wide. So this is a lotus flower or a lotus mudra, and this is the flower that Lakshmi, who is the goddess of abundance, was sitting on in yogic mythology. So maybe you gaze down towards this lotus mudra and just think about, you know, those 2 or 3 things that you're grateful for. Bring them into your day. And then just allow your palms to close. Taking a deep breath in and a deep breath out. Closing with the intention that our practice remains steady and our efforts continuous, and that our yoga serves and benefits all beings everywhere. May all beings be safe and happy and healthy and free, and may the thoughts and actions of each of our lives contribute towards this. So let's finish with an Om, and we're gonna inhale and exhale, and then inhale through to make the Om. So a big breath in, big breath out, big breath in, Thank you so much for joining me, for sharing the space and the practice, the light in me. It sees and it honors the light in you. Namaste.